Hello, continuation of the video there. You know, I've decided to do it in another accent just for the comedic value. You know, I was talking about the police there. You know, what's all that about? Well, the police, as you say in Glasgow. I mean, what the actual fuck? They just lie. I don't mean lie, as in lie down. I mean lie. Almost everything comes out of their mouth. It doesn't even mean there's bad guys. All of them are bad guys or bad people. They're ordinary people made bad by their circumstance. And some of them are not suitable to be coppers. And the same way some people are not suitable to be dentists or mime artists or balloon modelling display artists or something like that. The police don't protect people. They don't protect society. As my father said once upon a time, a long time ago, in a land far away, on a singularly separate day, he said to me, John, he said, but he didn't spell it, he had the Yorkshire accent, you see. He said, John, he said, the biggest gang in the UK, he says, by far, I think this is years ago, he says, the police. He says, the biggest organised gang in this country. And he's right. It's coming to the fore now. And if you're like me, you're kind of a bit cynical, you know. You don't trust authority. I can't think why. Maybe it's mum being vaporised when I'm 7 years old. Maybe it's compensation being refused because I didn't apply within 3 years. Excuse me. Maybe it's the way my brother was treated, even though he's a bastard. He just wanted some, I don't know. I'm assuming the guy just wants some recognition for the fact that he lost his mum. In the same way that the people who lost relatives, sons, brothers, etc., at the event which was cited as the cause of those people's deaths at the Aldershot bombing. The Bloody Sunday was cited as the cause, and there was a lot of money was invested in finding out who, why, what happened, and to smack some thighs, tell some people off and say sorry, and she says, okay, no problem with that, you've got to move on. See, you've got to move on, move with times. Oh. But I got bent out of shape because he says, well, how come you know? If this thing was linked to this, how come you know mentioning it? This? No, nobody's apologising to us. I see what he's saying. But what was he thinking of? What possible reason did he have to think that anybody up there, I live in a bungalow, well I don't live in a summer house, there's nobody up there, I'm speaking metaphorically speaking. So anyway, I don't know, they lie. For example, when you get, I live in a quite nice little enclave, sort of broady street, nice houses, bungalows and a couple of semis and all that. Not semis, no, matron. What I mean is bigger houses with a top bit, which is not a roof. I've got a top bit, which is a roof. I think they call them bungalows. But I don't live in it because it's too close to hassle and fucking accidentally introduced issues like trying to get out onto the road if you're driving and you're old and you're 85 or 87, whatever that guy is next door. You know, it's frightening for them. Why would you impose this and then piss off? Even if it's only 5 or 6 drives, do your job properly. Like the ASB that you refuse to acknowledge because you refuse to even mitigate for it because you refused to plan the thing properly. You refused. Because the only outcome with this is it was nothing to do with giving people a skate park to skate parky activity in. It was to do with making an area a bit poo. Because that's what people do. If they're in positions like you, when the boot's on the other shoe, How can I fucking shoehorn a canoe into this? Because that rhymes. No, I can't. It's been done before. What happens is, potentially, although this might not be the case, it might have all been a huge mistake. But what happens is, you get an area, and if you're doing it for the long term, and no doubt if sometimes there can be good rewards in this, because construction's can be quite a profitable thing. Apparently, people that are in construction might know these sort of things, and people that have been in construction might know how these jiggery pokery type things work, especially if there's somebody who's works on a lot of publicly accessed projects: train stations, airports, Docklands Light Railway, tube stations, the Queen Elizabeth Line, Reading Station redevelopment, King George V DLR, and London City Airport, the Olympic Stadium, and Etihad Towers in Abu Dhabi, Moscow, British Embassy in Moscow, but it wasn't publicly accessed because it was all full of spies with newspapers with holes cut out for the eyes. And everybody there used to jump in and out of doorways if you turn around. And everywhere you walked, when you was working at the embassy, you could hear in the background, dun, 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 dun. It's very strange. Anyway, so it wasn't done right. It's never done right. The mitigation that was offered was as follows. The skateboarding community, whoever they are, and they're obviously fluid and change and grow and do other things, and you know, whatever, over 6 years since it's been opened, or where it is, 5 years, I don't know. But you take care of business. There are downsides to everything. In a swimming pool, people might drown. On a racetrack, people might crash. On a shooting range, people might get shot. So you do things to make sure people don't get shot, people don't get the other things that I mentioned that I've forgotten. It's called planning. So you make sure that people can get to and from without dying or getting injured or getting into an altercation or colliding with people, whether on a bike, a skateboard, in a chariot, on a I don't know, in a bathtub with wheels, in a converted microlight which has its wings taken off and then wheels put on, which would make it a go-kart. So it's actually called a go-kart. My point is, you have one cycle lane on one side of a very busy road, albeit quite small. Yes, the traffic goes slow, but not all of it does at all times of the day. And then you add to that old people trying to get out of their drives that they can't see out of, especially when they're not looking because their mind is elsewhere, somewhere over there, even though they care. I just thought I needed to share this information. So look, they're getting out their drive and there's people whizzing down the thing, commuters, skateboarders, kids on scootery things, kids on pushy things that the parents push that are about this height. Roxy's nearly been run over twice. That's just walking down the road with me from drives. One person who got the hump because they had to slow down from, I don't know, when they saw me, that slowed down from, I don't know, 15, 20 miles an hour on whatever they were on. I can't remember if it was a bike or a skateboard. It was a skateboard. No, it wasn't. It was a bike. It was a young lad on a bike. Pulled out. He had to sort of adjust his speed, got the arsehole, and then threatened to punch my dog in the face through the open window. It was several summers ago, before I lost my memory and lost my mind and my driving licence. Thank you, please. Thank you, Exeter City Council. Exeter City Council was so concerned about my welfare at about the time when my doctor got written to about the deviation. We had information Mr. Bosley's alcohol dependent. No, Mr. Bosley's not alcohol dependent. Mr. Bosley drinks too much when life isn't being nice to him. Now, what that means is when life is out of his control, i.e. he's living with a deviant woman with malicious intent, or a woman who's trying to manipulate him into being something that she wants him to be, that wasn't that when he met her, didn't say he was ever going to be that. As it turns out, wasn't very good at being that. Wasn't very good at being this either, but at least I can find something else, maybe. It's just a joke. And the incident where I poured the paint, when I ran away from you because of the demeanour of how you turned up, considering in my mind all I'd done was a protest, alarming as it seemed to the people who had observed it and called the police. Stranger, you came when I'm having a little bit of a meltdown out there, lobbing paint about and rubbish, and yet when two blokes come to my house with a hammer and an axe, and the same people phone the police, or the neighbours next door phone the police, you don't turn up. Why was that then? You weren't scared, were you? I mean, look at what you did when I prepared a sharpened pole to receive you when you came to presumably, hopefully arrest me for criminal damage for doing a protest. And thank you, Jackie Sales, my previous probation officer, for giving me an erroneous probation date. I'm not au fait with the ins and outs of criminality and and parole and probation and all these fucking things. I've not been a criminal. I get in trouble with the police when I get into a shit relationship and I'm trapped. So I am led to believe a probation officer, if you turn up because they have given you a day on a card in black and white, I've still got the card, it's still here somewhere. You turn up with your therapy dog, you're having to get used to not driving because people, the little gangsters have taken your driving licence away because they're trying to make your life implausible. Good luck with that. Keep trying. Keep trying. I think another term in prison is the next thing, isn't it? Maybe this time, whoever's controlling this will probably get me, won't you? Because you had a good chance last time, Mr. Sam S. And I can't remember the other lad's name. The other lad was right. He was a good lad. He was a youngster, about 22, good boxer. But he went to the gym one day. I didn't get the call because I think I had to go and report somewhere or whatever. This lad I shared a room with was younger than me, totally different. Everybody's younger than me. And I was refused a move to the adult wing, kept on the young offenders wing. And yet I was a day within for the request, which I wasn't told about until a geezer I knew in prison, not through criminality but through work, told me, well, you should apply, get on D wing. It's a mature wing. It's for grown-ups. And I was refused. So I ended up spending time as a former. Well, I'm now a recluse. I'm now a borderline hermit. I've lived in this summer house in this garden as much as possible for the last 5 years, more or less alone. Probably 98% of the time alone. So going into town and things is a bit of a thing for me now. I'm quite happy with my life now. But if you people think this is not a threat, So Avon Somerset Police, this has nothing to do with you and the outstanding issue of the way you treated me, the way you disposed of a van worth £5,000, despite knowing I couldn't claim the thing back because you had rearrested me when I requested an ambulance, and then you sectioned me again. There's your intelligence again, isn't it? Not one of you had the minerals. Apparently 20 police officers were stomping about this garden looking for me. Well, I ran away because I thought I don't want to get shot for this. Because you can always cover it up and explain it afterwards. And who would have not believed, oh, yeah, he's an ex-squaddy, his mum was this, oh, he's a lunatic, and oh, his brother had an arm stand, oh, they shot him. You dust it all under the carpet. Well, you're not going to brush me under the carpet. Because everything that has happened that I have alluded to in these videos, this is for the police and for the probation. Everything's evidenced. Black and white. You may be fumbling about not joining the dots and not speaking to others. I suggest you speak to David Bartram and justify why he felt it was necessary, considering I did insult him by email, because after it was almost a year of living with the unmitigated shit that they had imposed by means of deceit. By means of deceit, they even lied to other councillors who voted on the scheme. That is a fact. The result of all of this, and I'm talking about the Exeter City Council, the people that were involved with this scheme, is that a gentleman about to retire had a fucking horrific couple of years dealing with you people, similar people, on another issue, which was nothing to do with me. Eastfields, I think, Eastfield Park, whatever it's called, which is quite a little microcosm of foresty, woody thing about, I don't know, half a mile away. Well, I take Roxy over there, and you love. It's nice over there. People that wouldn't have the access to areas like that because they're not mobile or whatever, they go and walk their dog around there. It's nice to look up into the trees and stuff. It's only a little bit of forest, but it gives somewhere to go for a lot of people. And that was under the spotlight of your nefarious endeavours. Same as NTL in Heavitree. What was that about? Why do you put it in a working class area where people are on shift and on 0 hours contracts and socially challenged, financially challenged, single mothers, people with kids, people with absent fathers, in that sort of area? Heavitree's known for that, as is Whipson. Why not put it in Pennsylvania? Why not disrupt the students that live there and the people that are at the upper end of the social scale? Why are they not being inconvenienced? And at the same time, why are people not asking, why is it relevant to curtail people's movements, travel, and fucking make life awkward for them because the world is melting, and yet it's okay for us to send millions and millions of pounds with other countries to destroy one of the biggest countries it's one of the biggest countries in the world, Ukraine. I think it's about the 10th or biggest country in the world or something. Biggest country in Europe. So destroying it's probably going to do a bit of damage to the environment, I would have thought. All these various weapons and systems. And then rebuilding a whole country, or the best part of it, isn't that going to leave a bit of a footprint and put even more polar bears on ice cubes on your news channels? You don't make sense, you people in charge. It's the same people inconvenienced, based on the same bollocks. Everything about our society, from where I'm sitting, and it was the same. I sat over there. I sat over there for 10 minutes. It looked exactly the same. No, where I was sitting, we live in a world of bollocks. Your leaders are liars. Why, in the name of God, ask yourself? There's this lad, the rugby league guy who died, I think, of motor neurone disease. I've alluded to this in another video. And his mate who played rugby league with him, I think not for the Rhinos, but Northern teams. And he was on a documentary about how he did all these marathons for his friend, and it was really inspiring. And obviously, being a rugby player, he's a geezer. He trains. He's very committed to his sport, and you've got to be that sort of person to be that sort of standard of an athlete. And you look at him doing that and being so selfless to his friend because of the friendship, just from playing a sport together, training together, whatever, and him and his other teammates. And then you look at somebody like that who can express that kind of humanity and strength and kindness. And he's British. Doesn't matter his colour. The British people are Asian, blacks, Oriental, whatever. The British are now all manner of races, cultures, and persuasions. Ask yourself, if we have a country where people like that, like the rugby player I allude to, are walking about, how did we end up putting a complete moron, a lying, deceitful, self-serving, deviant, upper-class half-wit, bumbling buffoon who can quote a bit of Latin? Yes, he's a very clever, intelligent man, but he's an idiot. The two can go together. You will find if you look under the proper terminology of idiot, that would account for most of the people that are apparently running shit. And they're not running shit very well at the moment, are they? I would suggest. Because things don't seem to be working very well. If you're poor, if you've had a blood transfusion over the last 30 years, if you've been a post office master over the last 50 years, 30 years, or however long that was going on, if you're one of the people who were affected or suffered at Hillsborough and their families, it took a city 25 years. A city, albeit quite a rebellious one. And that's not meant in a disrespectful way to Liverpool. You know, they're a breed on their own, as are the people of, you know, the Geordie people, Glaswegians, and people who've known adversity. They don't take shit. But 25 years the people of Liverpool took to get anything resembling the truth from an event which meant the end of life for 96 people who'd gone to see a football match. Think about that. Think about that. The government, the then government, and the police involved, which I think was West Yorkshire, I think, or South Yorkshire Police, lied and altered statements and gave all the police a rendition of what they were to. I mean, this is the UK. So if you think that the way you live in your community and your system, the system we're in is fit for purpose, please lift your head off The Price is Right or whatever it is people watch now. You know, was it Extra, X Factor, all that crap? It's just to numb your head. I'm lucky. I am lucky. I am lucky. My environment is fantastic, despite the fact these clowns have tried to screw it up. It's actually been an enlightening thing because it's basically highlighted an issue that I have that I wasn't aware I had, that I'm not comfortable with, but because I understand, I don't know what it is, whether it's hyperacusis or misophonia, but certain noises trigger me, and they have for many years. And I'm further triggered by the fact that the corrupt element of the police, and the police here are just, if they're not corrupt, they just make up their own rules as they go along. I believe most police do now. And it's going to get worse, because the police are going to be under more pressure, because we're in for some hard times soon, I think. If people can't see that, it's going to be probably another pandemic, another lockdown. They're going to see how far they can go before they really start bringing the shutters down. I don't like the way we're going. That's why I want to get out. So, I don't know. If you're comfortable, police, wasting your time harassing me, building up a case against me because you want me in prison, or I would challenge you to produce the photographic, actual, provable evidence of the trail of bodies I've left in my wake throughout my life. I've punched a few people. I've headbutted a couple of people. But I challenge you to live in the areas I've lived, under the circumstances I've lived, and not to have fallen foul of accepted practice 40 years later. You people who judge me, none of you have been in those positions. Some of you have and done better than me, and I can commend you for that. And some people have done a lot worse. They're either dead, on drugs, or completely despairing and doing dead-end jobs, living in a shithole or making the best of their life. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not living in a shithole. They tried to make it a shithole. But I think what will happen is the community will come together. I won't be part of it. But you've got a thorn in your side. I'm not scared of you. The worst thing to do is take on somebody and grind them into the ground so much. I don't actually value my life very much. I have obligations which are important to me, and I have things that I would like to redress, and I will redress them. People will be held to account. How is irrelevant, but they will be. There are laws, different laws. There's our legalese, there's common law, there's legal, Magna Carta, there's sovereign, being, there's all sorts of crap. At the end of the day, the law that we're all supposed to jump through hoops for is not fit for purpose. It's based on maritime law to circumnavigate the other safeguards that are in place. That's why you stand in the dock when you go to prison, and that's why you have a birth certificate when you're born, because you're treated like a ship. It's true, yeah. Much learned people know this much more better than I do, because I ain't that clever, and I don't give a shit. I just want to get the fuck out of this, because it's poo. If you live on your own and you want a quiet life and you just want to be with your dog, you can't do it here because this is mental what's happening here. And yeah, you're all busy with your families, your kids, and you're worrying your holiday. You just can't see it. It's like you're all living on a big piece of blotting paper and it's turning blue. And you can't even see it. Anyway, it's all a load of bollocks. I'm not scared of you, police. I would like to thank the people, for whatever reason, who treated me well latterly at, why can't I remember, Middlemore. As for the police that have engaged me out in the field, of you, as you will, jury's out on you guys big time. Two-faced and deceiving and lying. How dare you go to a friend of mine who's not involved in any of this, other than she suffered because her husband is the person I alluded to, who succumbed to the actions of these wannabe gangsters. Well, here's a message for you wannabe gangsters. If you're connected, come and get me. You know where I am. I'm waiting for you. Come and get me. It's not a threat. There's a lot of money involved. You could pay people. You've obviously got the certain elements of the police on your side. Or tell me you haven't. Perhaps get PC Bunstead to phone me again and tell me why the police can use resources to come round my house when I've phoned them a few times drunk, just to see what is their reaction time. What is it they'll come to my house for? If I'm potentially going to get killed or stabbed or be hacked or have a short haircut that I haven't asked for, I don't really need one. And the police respond 7 weeks later. No, you've got to do better than that. So here's a message to the police, okay? I'll see you in court. No doubt you'll do everything you can to get me put inside. So your mates who maybe have got contacts in prison can get me sorted out. Good luck with that. But know this, I've put some insurance policies in place. There's only a couple of things I can take care of with the facilities or the finance that's available, but take care of it I will. I'm not a Christian. I'm quite spiritual. I'll try to be, but some good book somewhere that a lot of people believe in says eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and that's good enough for them. For them believers, it's good enough for me. I am not taking this. All right? So we can all wait for the book to come out when everything will be in black and white. Boom. And then you'll have to go into hyper waffle, lessons learned and all that. You can stick it up your backside, all right? I'm not a criminal. I was criminalised by my response to the complete banality of what these people got away with, because they approved their own scheme and they were able to say whatever they wanted about mitigation, about protection of residents. They didn't even engage with the residents. That's why anybody who raised a concern after the planning application was approved by them, because they told lies to other councillors. Didn't they, CT, a con councillor who voted on this thing? Very affable person. Immediately came to meet us, as did the current leader, came to meet me, and totally agreed that X and Y was unacceptable. We looked at a video together, not that sort of video of an engagement with some delightful skateboarders who provided an example of how belligerent youngsters can be. And it wasn't really bothering me, them being down there clanking, clonking about, but, you know, because I've just got on the back of the property. But why was that allowed to happen? Why have you got a barrel-shaped pedestrian tunnel next to a skate park and you've not made any mitigation to, make sure people don't want to use it? They can go in there and sit down and fucking keep out the wet if they want to, but they're going to skateboard in there. They're going to clankety bang, twang, clang, bang, right in front of people's houses. Doesn't bother me because I don't live at the front, but some people do. You know, the people who hate me, that you cajoled and leaned on to get some crap on me. The same people that cleaned my motorhome, used to bring food to me, used to look after my dog, used to help me, are lovely people. Look how you manipulate a community. I've played my part, and I'm sure they were scared of me. It was meant to be, because I was trying to flag this up, and I've done it. You will be held to account, all right? Just know you will. One way or another. Don't see it as a threat, 'cause it's not. It's just a fact. It's just how things are going to be. Whether I live to see it or not, I couldn't care less. Because I'm enjoying the life I've got now. If it lasts for a couple of days, great. A week, no problem. I'm ready for the next place. If it doesn't happen for 8 years, 10 years, great. If it happens next week, couldn't give a shit. So, all you Exeter City Council people that are involved in this, although I know Mr. PF has gone elsewhere, what have you got? What are you going to do? Come and get me. You know where I am. 39 Summer Lane. Come and get me. Bring some gardening tools and some, you know, and some of your mates, some of your backup. Or maybe the police can think of a reason to come and harass me again. Maybe one of you can hide around the corner so you're outside the camera. It's pathetic. None of you had the bollocks when you were looking for me in the garden to just say, John, stand up, what's the problem? And then you treated me like the prize at the end of a safari. You did everything but tied me to a pole and carried me out the front on your shoulder. You loved it. You got all giddy. I've no doubt so you went back to your partners of whatever gender and got off on it and got your yah-yahs. I swear to God, I would take any one of you involved on one-to-one. Any one of you. And I said I would, it's fair to say that the majority of you would be younger and or bigger than me. But you're not men, are you? You're not men. Because if you were men, you'd have had the humility to have said, well, what's the geezer's problem? It's not us to say he's next to this or he's fucking sharpened a pole. Well, I sharpened a pole for the specific purpose of as soon as you turn up, I run away. I drop it and run away. Presumably I'd have done the same thing with a Kalashnikov or a Claymore mine or a feather duster. Well, I've got this brand new Kalashnikov. As soon as I get here, I'm going to drop it and run away. You are lying scumbags. And I won't get a chance to speak in the magistrate's court or wherever I go to court with this because it's all a facade. Despite having a reasonable command of English, the magistrates will have a good command of English. They will be obviously higher echelon people than myself and more, you know, assessed as more upright, etc. So it shouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility for me to communicate what I have or haven't done and what I was responsible for and why to these people so they can make an assessment on how to punish me. But why at no point is anybody making the same deliberation on David Bartram, Paul Faulkner, Phil Billiac, and the environmental health officer who was completely remiss and reneged on her written constitutional statementy, this is job description-y, this is my role-y, this is my thingy, what's the name, this is why I wear a badge and have a desktop label-y, you know, environmental health officer, dun, dun, dun. There's no cape involved and no underpants on the outside of your tights, but environmental health, environment, where you live, health, body, mind, moving bits, pumpy bits, breathy bits, flappy bits, hairy bits, bald bits. Environmental health. Clues in the title. One of the first people I met was the environmental health officer. And I don't know why this noise freaks me out because I didn't at the time. I just thought I was a freak, which I am. Thanks to you guys, and I quite like it. It's fun. So come after me. See what else you can take off me. Okay, because it will be returned in spades for a couple of people. It's the way it has to be, I'm afraid. People chose to come after me. All I was doing was trying to get a bit of peace and security for me and for my elderly neighbours, although they hate me, and I understand that. Well done. I've really played to type. But do you know what? If I was an undercover And I was doing a thing for Panorama. Some of you remember that. We had undercover journalist who goes in to look at the NHS and how the care system works. And we planted a person. Well, the police have been exposed. The National Health Service is a joke. Mental health provision is an absolute fiasco. You should give it to Lauren Hardy and the Keystone Cops and it will improve dramatically. And that's not anything to do with the people at the sharp end, because they're good and they're well-meaning, like a lot of the police are. Anyway, I'm waiting. So what's it going to be? You're going to come and finish me off, you people in the background, because this is not illegal. This is not an up on the level situation. There is corruption here, and I guess it's quite lucrative. So you must be able to pay somebody to get rid of me. All right, do it. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper in prison. I get that, but one of the provisions I've made is to make sure that anybody involved in that little skullduggery will might be a prize winner. Anyway, I didn't want this. Never did. Didn't ask for it. But when I wanted to go and I was stopped, which was a good thing, because if I'd have gone, I'd have ended up in the middle of France or the middle of Germany or the middle of somewhere in a clapped out French thingy bob with a house that wasn't suitable to rent out, really. Stranded with no money, probably nowhere to come back to because it would have been rented out, but they'd have had to leave because the place wasn't really suitable, wasn't ready. So something's looking after me. Let's hope that something looks after you on the other side when the time comes. And a probation officer who gives an erroneous date to a scumbag for probation gets into town, turns up on time, gets a flea in his ear, gets totally spoken to like a piece of dog poo, which is how this particular person likes to operate, because obviously there is something about her self-esteem which is diminished or not intact. And oh, sorry, it's the wrong date, my mistake. Oh, have you got any other engagements today? Do you have to go to court? Which I did. But as I told her, my mental fragility, my mental capacity wasn't working. It was clunky and it was steaming. Anyway, end of message. I'll carry on with this. You guys wait till the book comes out, all right? You'll have some questions to answer and you will be answering these questions. You will. So I don't think things are all going the way some of you people would like it.